I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity, Quantum Thinking Sales Bootcamp Training. And we got a lot going on today. Like this is week two. This is what happens in the top level. Things move so fast. It's absolutely insane. And so let's dive in. Kenny, what you got?
Um, so I got a basement, one of our jobs, remodels, basement remodels. We're getting to the end of the job, but there were a lot of things that weren't, I don't know, like the communication between the customer and myself, things that were missed, and then things that had to be redone because we simply didn't have a clear plan on not all the details were planned out before we started. And I don't even know if that's possible, but I know we could do a lot better than we did. And I don't know how to have what kind of system you would have for that or plan. I don't know.
Yep. So what you do is you go ahead and do like what printers do. Um, Printers submit something before they print it, and you have to sign off on it. In construction, they have change orders. Like you have to have anything as a change order. Like anything that changes, you got to have a change order sign off because it changes the everything. It changes the financial, the time, everything. And so you got to get going back to good to great, disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, discipline and taking action. Your system have got to go ahead and factor in personalities. The personalities are everything. Like you got to get that. And a salesperson, like here, fortunately for you guys, because I know your salespeople are doing this, in the pre-sales process and the sales process, you're getting asking questions. The most important questions to ask for the sale is the personality. I mean, because you know how to sell to the person, you know how to communicate to the person. Everything's connected back into their personality. And so not only do you use it for selling, but servicing too. You have to service, you have to service um, an analytic differently than you do a driver. You have to service, a driver different than an expressive different than an amiable. You have to you, you have to learn how to do that. So that's part of your system. Fortunately, you got a system that only takes 17 seconds to do. So if you only have a system that takes 17 seconds to do, why would somebody not use that system? Like it's not a time thing, it's 17 seconds. I mean, why would somebody not do that?
I don't know.
Because they think they're smarter than other people. They have arrogance and pride issues. They have fear issues. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of issues they have. They think they're smart, like they're really smart. Like, man, it's 17 seconds. That's what I'm asking. But that person often that won't use the 17 seconds, they'll expect somebody else to go ahead and trust them, but they don't trust the integrity of the system. Well, trust me because I'm so smart. How did you get so smart if you can't even do something simple? So you go ahead, it's a combination. You get this is the system we're going to use, and then we use that system. And then change orders, if you don't go ahead and get those, you're going to get stung, especially if you go ahead and are young, and especially if you're amiable. People are going to take advantage of you because you lack discipline. They just will. It's just how it's going to be. Then you get embarrassed because you're not using the system, and all kinds of messy stuff happens. So So it just requires, and as you get larger and there's more people and there's more mouths to feed and there's more goals and there's more everything as you get larger, the stakes become higher. Like you can, as a parent, you can run a household if you have one child, you can run a household a certain way. Like, yeah, it's one child. You get two, it's different. You get four, it's different. You get eight, it's different. Like every time you go ahead and bump it up to another dimension, everything gets different. It's just like a pipe. If you have a little water flowing through the pipe, you don't need the pressure. Yeah, yeah, it's fine. But as the water goes through and there's higher pressure, you got to have stronger systems. You got to have more discipline as a team. Nice. Luke, what you got?
How do you handle like when do you submit to the customer and when do you like I'm having today I'm going out and explaining to a customer where like the screws on a metal roof are
What's their personality? What's their
probably
geo and their pain?
I don't have their personality or
Well, then you don't know. You're asking a doctor to go ahead and diagnose something that you don't have the information, because each of the different personalities, you're going to go ahead and respond in a different way. So if you went ahead and did it with an amiable, if that client's an amiable, if that client's an amiable, but you got to look at the geo and the pain, both of those. So you're going to respond one way if they're that personality. You're going to respond a different way if they're an analytic. You're going to respond a different way if they're an expressive, and you're going to respond a different way if they're a driver. So your geo and your pain quadrant test are absolutely critical. You can't do your job without that. Well, you're just guessing. Does that
hmm
help?
yes.
And so what we often do is we get stuck in the short term. This is the expressive and the amiable. I think both, like the amiable loves conflict and the expressive loves drama. They get a dopamine hit, like in their brain. They're like, oh, good, I have some drama. I have some drama. I have some conflict. But it's like we'll get out of that situation by following the system. Nice. Um, Katrina, what you got?
I don't really feel like I'm like the 530 grid. I don't feel like I'm understanding that the way I should.
Nice. And so in the in here, have you, like, how are you getting through everything that you're getting through? Like you're just like your other people have struggled, like, you've just been like a week,
Well,
maybe you.
so like yesterday I really did a lot because I had bad service down here and I was only able to make like 5 new calls. I got a lot of callbacks too, but like I was just able to make 5 new calls, so like I didn't really have so I decided I'm just gonna catch up with that because I
Yeah,
couldn't
so
make that
bottom
many
line
calls.
is she had a wall of opportunity, went over, under, left, right, blow it up, tear down, somehow, some way she can make a breakthrough. So here you've got somebody that's a week into it, and she's she's further ahead than people that have been involved for years, in a week. Like in a week. And what's funny is those people, I know how they think. They're like, well, she's new, she's got this. So what they do is when we get buried by somebody else, like when we go ahead and get in a race, and that race, just like, let's say, a marathon, and so that marathon, and somebody else just kicks our butt. I mean, just absolutely kicks our butt. Well, we make excuses why we're weak. We just do. It's human nature and how to do it. But that continues to keep us weak. It just does. And so with what you can do is in here, you can go ahead and go to Action Vision. So I don't know if you're in there yet, but I can quickly tell by looking at this. And so I know you were working on getting that. So you are. So you are in here. So that's good. So in here, if you go ahead and go to the 530 grid, have you gone through these?
Yeah. I don't think I'm done yet with that section, but
But there should be something should be clicking. I mean,
yeah, like
unless you're double analytics kicking in, and you're like, I mean, I understand it, but I don't. So what is it do you think you don't understand about the 530 grid?
I don't know. It just feels over my head.
Well, you understand the five. So what you do is you just go ahead and you just take it and break it down. Do you? Oh, I mean, I've been blessed to create the 530 grid decades ago. So I'm the one that created it. It's over my head, and it's okay. Like I'm overwhelmed by it. I mean, it's okay. Do you understand the 5 areas of the 530 grid? Marketing, how to generate more and better leads.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
You know what a lead is?
Yeah.
Okay. It's more leads and better leads. So this is not rock brain surgery rocket. This is pretty easy stuff. And so pre-sales is, move the leads into conversion. So you're taking a lead and immediately like minutes, you want it immediately where you're taking that lead and driving it forward. So that's pre-sales. And then the sale, that's the yes or the no. This is the magical part, mystical part. This is this is so marketing is hard work. Pre-sales is discipline and consistency. The sale is mastery. It's just you don't have the room to make mistakes that you do in the others. And then servicing, how do you create a raving fan servicing experience, and then client relationships for life? The servicing is this is delivery of what we say we're going to do. So what does marketing, pre-sales, and sales say we're going to do? And servicing is doing that and exceeding in that. And then client, how do you build lifelong, relationships with clients? So don't make it harder than what it is. Just take your driver out, just bring your driver out, put your analytic, don't worry about the details, just big picture. It's really simple. The 530 grid is simple. Now, when you start getting into the 6 levels, that gets a bit more tricky. So that's harder. So, I think the 530 grid is like the Bible and women. What does that mean, Mark? Well, the more you know about the Bible, the more you know about women, the more you know you don't know. Like they're complicated. It's like you finally figure it out, and then all of a sudden there's a new dimension, a new level of understanding, and you're like, huh, that's fascinating. And so in here, Katrina, it's just what we need to do is we need to come up with a quiz. So level 1, so do you understand these things? And then, okay, level 2 quiz. Okay, do you understand these things? And so there's different questions. And so you're understanding better than anybody else that's ever been through the quantum, thinking sales boot camp. Like you're understanding, and you've only been at it for like a little over a week. So don't lose that. Like I've seen people that get it the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they start out strong, and then all of a sudden something happens to them, and it's like, really? So don't be like that. But what you're doing is developing a system not only for you to learn more rapidly, but for everybody. Like you've got a vision, like you want a whole team of people that you're going to be developing, and you trust the integrity of the system better than anybody I've ever experienced. In over 34 years of doing this, I've never experienced anyone. The thing I'm most concerned is, do you have the stamina? Can you keep it up? Because you got to keep it up. It's not something where you can do something for, it's a lot like being married. it's a lot like it's a lot like being married. It's a lot like being a dad or a mom. I mean, it's just hard work. You mean even after 41 years of marriage, Mark? Oh yeah. Yeah. In some ways it's harder now than it's ever been, and that's okay. Keeps you on your toes. Kevin, what you got?
I was just wondering how the Summerfest went.
I have a lot. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. It was crazy. Um, I'm talking to a gentleman, and he's 80 years old. I've talked to him 2 or 3 other times. and he's potentially interested in giving Life Masteries Institute, I don't know, like a $5 million building. Right? Like, dang. Like, and that fits into all of you guys' goals. And so there were hopefully memories that people will remember like their whole life. And so a bunch of people came, a number of people came up, adults and children, and they said, Mark, where's um, the pontoon boat? Because the kids were looking forward to it. Like, yeah, that's not going to happen this year. And then, people were like, hey, is Kenny going to be there? Is Nora going to be there? And it's like, well, no, Nora's at an air show, and so that's awesome and stuff. And Kenny, we're not really sure. He might be here, he might not. We're not really sure. And it's like, okay. And then I don't know, like after a bunch of people had left, which was fine. Do you want an 80 or 90-year-old, out on the jet ski? I mean, Jill Caldron from Chicago is doing the PB church on Sunday, and I was telling her about it, and I think she's in her 70s, I think. And do any of you know the difference between a jet ski and a wave runner?
I don't.
I didn't
Yes,
either.
I do.
You do. What's the difference, Kenny?
One of them, you stand on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to stand on it. So she
Yeah.
said, is it a jet ski or a wave runner? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's a jet ski. And she says, could you sit down? I said, yeah, you can sit down. She says, it's not a jet ski, it's a wave runner. I'm like, okay, copy that. She knew the difference. She's like, yeah, I wish I was there. She said, I'd have taken that. She would have. Like, wow. So Kenny brings over his two jet skis, and I'm telling you, the fun kicked in. I mean, it was so cool to see my 14-year-old and my 12-year-old grandsons out there. I mean, was that as fun as seeing Kenny go ahead and get flipped, I don't know, 7 time bounced across? Like we skipped him more than we could skip the rocks. Like, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was just bounce, bounce, bounce. But that's what you do, part of the boot camp training for, being a police officer. It was so much fun. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was just to see the young, like there are babies, newborn babies there, and then there's young kids, and then there's individuals all the way up into their 80s. Um, and what's fascinating, Kevin, is I don't like these things. I don't like them at all. I don't like the pressure. I don't like the people. I love people. I just don't like being around them. But it's getting better as I don't have to worry. Yeah, there's so many cool things that happened there, Kevin. Thanks for asking. Why do you ask?
Because you asked me to.
Well, but why did you ask originally?
I don't know. I was just wondering, I guess, how it went.
Why is that?
Curious. Because I wasn't there,
Luke didn't ask. He
maybe.
wasn't there. Luke, why do you think that Kevin asked and you didn't?
Don't know.
So I'm not sure either. I don't know. That's why I was asking. I'm not sure. So you know, my brother Dan, he was in the Marines for 22 years, and he went ahead and said, we had I have 3 brothers, and we were hanging out in Florida together. We were at the airport and sitting there, and he said, Mark, it's interesting. I've noticed something in life. I'm like, what's that? And he said, when you get older, as you get older, you have more relationships. And you have more relationships. And he said, you either have to get better at relationships or you're going to, lose them. You're going to lose relationships. You're going to prune them. They're going to be gone. And I'd never before that was, I don't know, 18 years ago, 19 years ago. Before that, I'd never thought of relationships as a skill, like something you could develop, like you can get better at it. But you have more opportunities. And as you in business, you have more opportunities to go ahead and connect with more people. And as you have more people, that takes time. And so the combination principle is really important. Like if that deal goes through $5 million, you all will benefit from that. You all benefit from it. But what did you do for it? You just gotta, could you do more? Are you carrying your own weight? I mean, that's a good question, right? Are you carrying your own weight? I think we found we've struggled with finding somebody to be the host, and so we've had a number of different hosts on the art tree, and so I think we found who's going to be the founder. Anybody have any ideas on who that's going to be?
Katrina.
Yeah, why?
Because she's on fire.
She's on fire. So how do I know if I'm giving her too much responsibility?
She starts missing things.
Well, I mean, that's like, how do you know? How do you know like that? Like, that's just part of growing, right? I mean, don't we all miss things?
Right.
This would be a great quiz question. So, this is what I found out in delegation. So,
When she's able to clean up her own messes.
first is take ownership. Nice. That's a quiz question. First, number one is taking ownership. Can she take ownership? Can she take ownership of what the responsibility she's been given? And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, can she clean up her own mess? And so that's harder because a lot of times you can't, and so Mark, where do you get, where do you get your wisdom from? A lot of it, I mean, good Christian Bible, yep, without question. And the church, yep. What I've been trained in, yep. A lot of it comes from being a father of 7 kids. Like a lot of it comes from that. And so you younger ones that aren't married, there's a lot of wisdom that comes from being married. There just is. You guys should be connecting with Rosanna, men and women. So my wife of 41 years, you should ask her questions. You just should. You should ask her questions. You should ask her questions about being a woman. You should ask her questions about being a wife. You should ask her questions about being a mother. Because a lot of things, business is so much like family. It's insane. I mean, it is insane how, how it's the same thing. So Katrina is now here, and so what she needs to do is she needs to select, somebody who's going to be role 1 and role 2, and then she needs to have somebody role 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so she needs to get the art pod. I've been working on the art tree for I don't know how many years, a long time. It never works. The stupid thing never works. It just doesn't work. But I think that Katrina is a delta. So Joe Reed introduced me to that concept, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever it was. We were at a coffee connection. Every coffee connection you should be at. See, when you miss out on coffee connection, when you miss out on Spring Fest, like you can bring your family and friends. Like you just don't want to miss out on those because you don't know what you miss out on. So I'm at a coffee connection and Joe Reed goes and says, Mark, you're a seer. I'm like, first week I met him. I mean, we're just talking. He's about 15, 20 years older than I am. And he's like, Mark, you're a seer. I'm like, what's a seer? He says, you can see things in the past, present, and future other people can't see. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty cool. My mom was a seer. She could see things. She had discernment. She could see things that other people couldn't see. Next week I come and he's like, we're talking. He says, Mark, you're in Delta. Because I had some ego at that time. I said, what's a delta to you? Like, didn't want to say, I don't have any idea what a delta is. So I didn't want to look stupid. So I said, what's a delta to you? And he's like, I could drop you anywhere in the world and everything around you would change. I said, ooh, that's pretty cool to be a delta. I wonder if Katrina's a delta. Hope it doesn't go to her head. I think one of the mistakes I've made in the past is I can see people's potential. I can see that people's potential, and it's like, oh, there's so much potential, so much God-given potential. And then I tell them that, and I say, hey, you got a lot of potential, and people, I mean, it goes to their head. So Katrina, within a few days, I saw the potential, and holy cow! And it's like, but now, don't let it go to your head, girl. Like it goes to your head, it'll just destroy everything, like everything. And so she's got it. So today we're probably going to go through these here, and who is she going to get for her, right and left hand? Who's she going to get to be number 1 and 2? This is connected into her goals, and her goals are connected into she's going to bless everybody around her. That's just kind of who she is. It's who she created to be. How do you see, how do you see people's potential? Tom Kuhn said, you can't give something to somebody else that you don't first have. So if you don't have your life vision, if you don't understand why you're put on this planet, you can't help somebody else do that. If you don't see how amazing you are, but then also you're no better than anybody else, you got to have both of those tensions. Like on a violin string, there's a left, there's a top and a bottom. You got to have both. You're only as strong as the weaker of the two. So you got to have this crazy, you're created in the image of God. You are amazing. There's not another human being on the planet of the 8 billion people that's like you. You got to do your job. Like you got to understand how amazing you are. And then you got to understand on the other end of the string that you're no better than anybody else. You're just not. You're just not. You are just not any better than anybody else on the planet. Those are two things that I don't know that I've done, well on in the past. And hopefully with Katrina, I'm doing better. Lloyd, good to have you on today. Anything you have, sir?
He's not on here anymore.
Okay, gotcha. Anybody else have anything else? So now things are starting to heat up. It's the flywheel that's starting to go ahead and go. And it's crazy. You get one person, just one, and all of a sudden everything changes. It's not that one person. I mean, it is, but it's not. And so you look at this here, Katrina starts, and all of a sudden, boom, Nora kicks in and Luke kicks in. They kick up. This is the new, week here. So this is a new week here. So, this is going to hopefully, like, this looks like it's really high here. So Katrina's got last week. Katrina's got 1,321 points in the PPA. Is she going to be able to get to 1,500? Is she going to go ahead and get to 1,600? What's she going to be able to do? So in sales, it's quantity and quality of work. So much of it's about stamina. So this has been an awesome one. I'm excited for you guys. You guys truly can. The definition of synergy is we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. The caveat on that is we have to be in flow. We have to be in flow. If we're not in flow, you know, we're not going to accomplish more. We're going to accomplish less together than we could on our own. We have to be in flow. How do you get in flow? And what's even harder is how do you stay in flow? Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.